Push-Pull Percy. Percy enjoyed working in the yard. Edward had taught him well, and he had the trucks and coaches in good order for the other engines. His bubbly nature was a welcome change from the yard's bad atmosphere. As Percy was shunting, he saw Thomas arrive with Annie and Clarabelle. He didn't take much notice at first, but when the guard's whistle blew, Percy was surprised to see Thomas backing the train down the branch line. When he next saw Thomas, the little green engine was most inquisitive. "How did you do that?" asked Percy. Thomas was puzzled. "Do what?" "Push your train down the branch line. Your driver can't possibly see what's coming." Now, Thomas is a unique engine. Thanks to special rods and connectors, he can be driven from Clarabelle's cab. This means he can stay at one end of his train for both journeys. "Oh," Thomas smirked. "Well, not every engine can do it. You need certain experience to run trains like this." "Maybe I could do it," Percy wondered aloud. "I doubt it," scoffed Thomas. "You're just not special like I am." And he left the station, chuckling to himself. Percy was fuming. "Not special indeed." "I'll show that, Thomas. Just let him wait." When the big engines were shut in the shed, the Fat Controller asked Percy to look after the branch line. "Oh, thank you, sir," he exclaimed. He was excited to get out of the yard, and to show Thomas a thing or two. Percy enjoyed working on the branch line, but soon found his hopes were dashed. His driver always ran him round to the back of the train. He tried starting before he could be uncoupled. He tried locking his brakes. He tried everything. But his driver always won in the end. "Come on, Percy," he huffed. "You're going to make us late with all this nonsense." Time after time, Percy found himself grumpily running to the other end of the train. Clarabelle was always happy to see him. "It's nice to have some company back here for a change," she smiled. "It gets lonely watching everything pass you by." Percy smiled, but still wanted a chance to show Thomas he was a special kind of engine. One morning, Percy brought the first train to the station. He was about to run around for the return journey when the station master came running. "Sorry," he said to the driver, "the points are acting up and we can't change them. You'll have to push the train, I'm afraid." Percy was ecstatic. "Now's the time! Now's the time!" he beamed. "Listen to me," said the driver sternly. "You're pushing this train no further than the first station, and I want no tricks when it's time to run you round back. Understood?" "Oh, yes, sir," gulped Percy. As the driver strode to the cab, Percy chuckled. "Unless," he whispered cheekily to Annie, "there's a points failure at the first station, too." Annie rolled her eyes. The fireman was anxious. "Do you think we'll manage?" "It's only a short distance," huffed the driver. "I doubt we'll have any trouble." Little did he know, a short distance was all trouble needed. Percy was enjoying himself immensely. "Look at me now! Look at me now!" he laughed. "Not so unique now, are you, Thomas?" He felt very clever. Percy's driver was having a hard time seeing. The guard was keeping watch in Clarabelle, but Percy bumped about so much that he spilled tea on his uniform. "Oh, bother," he fumed, and went searching for a rag. That's when trouble appeared. At the first level crossing, a lorry had stalled on the line. Bertie was annoyed by the delay. "Come on," he honked impatiently. "I've got places to be." The driver grunted at him as he continued working on the lorry's engine. Bertie rolled his eyes. Then he glanced down the line. A train was fast approaching. "Stop! Stop!" Bertie hollered, honking his horn madly. Clarabelle was frantic. Brakes! Brakes! She shrieked. The guard, turning his attention back to the rails, scrambled to the lever. He leaned from a window and blew his whistle furiously. Percy's brakes came on at once. He put all his effort into stopping and shut his eyes in horror. When Percy opened his eyes, he'd come to a halt. Clarabelle's buffers were mere inches from the crossing gates. "What's the matter with you engines?" scolded Bertie. "You might have hurt your passengers." Percy felt most ashamed. "I only wanted to show Thomas I was a special engine." The driver was perplexed. "Special? What are you on about?" Percy explained what had happened, and the driver was in stitches. "Ho, ho, ho! Trust me, Percy," he laughed. "Thomas is by no means special. He was built that way. He's fitted with equipment that allows his driver to control him from Clarabelle's cab. That's why we can't run you round the train. You weren't designed for it." Percy felt cross and foolish. When the lorry was clear of the crossing, he backed the train carefully to the first station. As he ran around the coaches, he thought about how silly he'd been. "Cheer up," smiled Clarabelle. "You did well to get us here. Besides," she went on, "Thomas's special controls don't always work for him in the end." "They don't?" Percy asked. "Heavens, no!" Clarabelle laughed. "When the driver is in my cab, Thomas goes off daydreaming and doesn't pay attention. You wouldn't believe the amount of times he's overrun the platform." Percy felt much better hearing this, and laughed all the way to the top station as Clarabelle recounted Thomas's misfortunes. Percy had no further incidents, and soon returned to shunting when the big engines were allowed out again. He was most cheeky whenever Thomas approached the platform. "Careful!" he called. "You're meant to stop there, after all." Annie and Clarabelle were in hysterics as Thomas turned bright red. He never mentioned being a special engine again.